Good morning, friends. I trust you've had a good week. I've had a good week. It's Friday afternoon. I am very tired. I'm looking forward to getting some rest tomorrow. I look back at my university days in Atlanta, and after 3 years in the university, I was a mess, but I didn't know it. Today I'm a mess, but at least I know it. Now I read John 15:5, without me you can do nothing, and I understand that. The problem is, back in the university, 2 Corinthians 3:5, my sufficiency is of God. Never heard that, never learned that. I thought sufficiency came from self. We called it self-sufficiency. And I thought after, year after year after year of so-called higher education, I'd be more competent, I'd be more intelligent, I'd be more and more of something. And I think I was buying into the delusion that was happening to me, when in truth, I was losing every year. I was dumbing down. One of the greatest mistakes was not understanding and not learning about providence. And if you don't know what providence is the long arm of the Lord. He stretches out and He does something in your life. You say, that had to be a miracle. That had to be just a providence. This is when God reaches out and makes a difference in your life, and you can see it. And didn't know about providences, didn't know that God arranged everything, didn't know Matthew 10:30, even the hairs on your head are numbered. The verse before and after, 2 sparrows are sold for a farthing, 1 sparrow falls, God knows all about it. And all-seeing, all-knowing, fully engaged God in our lives has an interest in us personally. I never knew that. Didn't know there was a God. But He was watching over my footsteps. He was guiding in my life. That's providential working. I was thinking it was just the opposite, a crapshoot, a gamble, luck of the draw. That's not how it is. God is in control. He has things under His direction. And if we'll trust in Him, He'll lead us into a place that will give us peace. Not just any peace either. It's the peace that passes understanding. So back then, Darlene and I think I was 24, 25, our typical day. We both went back to school, get on the public transport. Back in Atlanta, it was called MARTA. You get on, go down, take a bus down to the MARTA station, get on the train, ride downtown, then go into the university, and then after school, maybe some exercise, maybe some drinking, and maybe to bed late, wake up the next morning with a hangover, going back to school. Now, what was happening in our marriage during these 3 years, we were growing apart. There was no glue to hold the marriage together. So, our marriage wasn't doing well. It was on the brink of decay and divorce. When I met Darlene, her mother was already dead. Her father, he was in his 50s, heavy drinker, just like my father, just like me, heavy drinker, and I maybe visited him 3 or 4 times. Kind of a nice guy, kind of a big guy, nice guy, and we would drink beer and we would talk crazy talk, but I got to know him. And somewhere along that 3rd year in school, he died of cirrhosis of the liver. And that was, that was kind of a preview of where I was heading, but didn't really know it at the time. But something happened. After his death, we found out that he'd had 40 acres of land, and Darlene had a sister. He left 20 acres to Darlene's sister, and he left 20 acres to Darlene. And so we went up there. I'd been there before, and it was his place, his property, but now it belonged to Darlene. And we drove up to Mentone, Alabama. This is where it was, in northeast Alabama. We drove up to Mentone, Alabama, and we were looking at the land. Now we were the owners of it. In our mind, in Darlene's mind, she'd been to Emory. She'd majored in psychology. She had made the decision to go back to the university, try to get a master's degree in art history. I had made the decision in my mind that I was dying. Unless something changed, I was in a lot of trouble. And it just so happened, and I say this is providentially, this is God leading. As we were there looking at the land her father had left to us in his inheritance, there was a black garbage bag full of garbage sitting in the middle of the piece of land. And I said to Darlene, I said, Darlene, if we don't move up here, this place is going to become a garbage dump. Now, where did that thought come from? Out of nowhere. I just said that. And then Darlene looked at me almost with an act of surprise, with a surprise and shock on her face. And I thought, did I just say we need to move up here? And that planted the seed in our minds about getting out of the city, making the great escape. We'd already tried before. I'd already shared how we packed up, tried to sell everything. What we had left, we packed up, put it in mini storage, launched out into the mountains in North Georgia. Didn't last very long, but we were searching. We were trying to find something that would give us what we were looking for. You know, the unknown, unseen God, but I didn't know it at the time. And so we went out and launched out in the woods with our compass and our granola and our backpacks. Never thought about coming back, and didn't last too long. And in many, many ways, that was a failure. But what it did, it gave us a glimpse of the freedom to be found in country living. And so although Darlene and I, we didn't succeed in our venture to try to get out into the country and stay there, Darlene with her 5 bottles of natural shampoo and 50 pounds of granola, a little thing of honey, and his 2, you know, very young, very crazy individuals named Lew and Darlene, we didn't really find what we were looking for in a sense. But there was a revelation that we needed a more natural life, which we didn't have. Didn't have a natural life. So Darlene and I, we started discussing the subject, kicking around the subject of moving up to Mentone. Now the challenge was no electricity, no house, nowhere to take a bath. It was just forest, woods. And we had a Ford station wagon. And in order to move up to Mentone, we thought we'll have to live in our car. Now, I never lived in a car before. But, you know, even the thought of that, it has some kind of it resonated with my heart. And I thought, yeah, this is really living. This is living close to the land. And this is what I was looking for. I was looking for an experience. I've been a theoretical person all my life, never had a real experience in real things. And this is what I was seeking. I was that kind of person. Remember 2 Corinthians 4:18, while we look not at the things which are seen, because the things which are seen are temporal, but we look on the things that are not seen, the invisible, because these are the things that are eternal and last forever. I never learned to see with the eye of faith. I was a very secular person walking by sight, and I wanted to learn something different, something better, but I didn't know what faith was. But God was about to give us an experience that would teach us. It didn't come overnight. In fact, it was 10 long, painful years out in the woods there in Mentone, Alabama. But you know, when we came out, we were very different than from the people we were when we walked in. So, I'm going to share a few thoughts over the next, many, many weeks on what happened out there in the woods. Romans 12 verse 2, it says, "Be ye not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind." And how God reshaped and renewed our minds and our hearts. Thank you, my dear friends, for watching. May God bless you richly, give you a restful, peaceful weekend. And if you're searching like we were, and I'm still looking, the more I find of God, the more I'm looking. I can never get enough of His goodness. If you're out there searching and looking, I can share with you, what He did for me. And if He did it for me, it means He will do it for you. God bless you, my friends. You have a nice weekend.